enhancing pedagogy through experiential learning. Myself, Dr. Basri Rajesh Babu, Associate Professor, Sanskriti School of Business, Sri Sathya Sai District. It's my honor and privilege to be part of the moderator for this session. Today's resource person is Mrs.E.Prashanthi, Associate Professor, Head of the Department and Director of Admission, Sanskriti School of Business, Puttaparthi. Today's session title is Designing Experiential Learning Activities. The main objectives of the session are to expose teachers to various pedagogies while combining crucial pedagogical knowledge, abilities, dispositions, and intents for high-level practice, to help teachers understand and implement various experiential learning methods that impact the objectives of higher education. I welcome the resource person for today's session, Mrs.E.Prashanthi, Associate Professor, Head of the Department and Director of Admissions at the School of Business, Puttaparthi. I welcome all the faculty members from various institutions. A warm welcome to one and all. I would like to introduce today's resource person. Mrs.E.Prashanthi is an accomplished academician and researcher with a wealth of experience and expertise. Currently pursuing PhD at Yogi Vemana University, Andhra Pradesh. Her research focuses on influence of experiential learning and awareness on enterprise readiness among management students. The AIMS Convention 2023, she got gold medal for the best convention research paper on experiential learning. As an associate professor and head of admissions at Sanskriti School of Business, she brings a dynamic approach to education, engineering students in finance and HR subjects, and contributing significantly to program development. With a background as a research associate at S&P Global IQ, Mrs. Prashanthi has honed her analytical skills, specializing in the financial data of global companies. Her contributions extend beyond academia with numerous published research papers, book chapters, and edited books, along with awards recognizing her excellence in teaching and education initiatives. Through her diverse roles, Mrs. Prashanthi makes substantial contributions to academia, research, and the development of the future business leaders. Before handing over the session to the speakers, here are the few instructions to the participants. Please pay attention. In order to conduct the session in an uninterrupted way, all participants are muted. Kindly cooperate with us. After the speaker completes her talk, time will be provided for questions and answers. Participants shall be unmuted as they raise hands. Feedback link shall be shared with you before question and answer session. Kindly fill it. Let's start the session. Over to resource person, Mrs. E.Prashanthi, madam. Over to you, madam.
So thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Shall I share my screen, sir?
Yes, madam. You can share.
Shall I start this session?
Yes, madam. Yes, madam. Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Sanskriti School of Business, for giving me this opportunity and for providing me to be resource person in this faculty development program. Good afternoon, everyone. It is really a great pleasure to be the resource person for this 1 week online FTP on enhancing pedagogy through experiential learning. So in this, I'm going to take up designing experiential learning activities. So as everybody have said, like they have gone through, they have given a lot of quotes related to experiential learning. So let me start with the same quotes, like tell me, I'll forget, teach me, I may remember, involve me, I learn. So if you tell something to the students, definitely at some point of time they are going to forget. If you teach them with some examples, they'll try to remember for certain period. But if you involve them, sir, my voice is audible, right?
Audible, madam. Clearly audible. Some sounds are
Okay.
coming beside. Just some sound, slight disturbance is there. That's it. Your voice is audible, madam. We can clearly hear.
Some participants have given message like
Yeah.
they can't hear.
Yeah.
There is some disturbance background. Is the
Maybe
fan on?
fan, ma'am. Is it clear now, ma'am?
Still there is some disturbance. Buzz sound is coming. Or remove your earphones and see.
Is it audible, madam? No?
Your voice is audible but slight background. Now it is clear.
Maybe earphones problem, madam. Then I'll remove it. Yes. Okay, madam. I'll continue.
Still some noise is there.
Mm, is it clear now, madam?
Some kind of arrangement sounds are.
Madam, is it clear right now? Just I have closed the door.
Still that noise is there.
Yeah, it is better to close the door. Madam.
Yes, sir, I have closed. Hello, good afternoon, sir. Is it clear, sir?
Oh, you can continue, madam.
Yes, sir, I'll continue. Yes, thank you, madam. Thank you, sir. So, just now I have started with the quote that if we say something to the students for some period, after some period they are going to forget. If we teach them with some examples, they'll remember it for some duration. But if you involve them in certain activities, their learning process will be different. So as a part of this experiential learning, we need to know that by this time we have understood that experiential learning is learning by doing, right? So the same thing was given with one quotation. So let us start today's session with the essence of experiential learning. So as we know that experiential learning is more than just a teaching technique. So it is like a immersive process where the students are going to be engaged in activities which are required for them to apply their knowledge and skills in the real world context. So this method is going to stand and guide them to enhance their knowledge and emphasize, and they are going to get hands-on experience, and they are also going to get the critical thinking from lot of experiences. So what is exactly experiential learning and how it is going to benefit the students, we have understood from lot of sessions which are happening from the last 1 week, right? So as the technology is getting evolved and the world is becoming more connected today, it is more important than ever to teach. Like, we can't restrict ourselves to teach only from the textbook. So we need to teach transferable skills. It may be like leadership, problem solving, innovation, and lot of things to the students. So however, today's parents, teachers, and everybody, like the stakeholders, are struggling a lot to explain the importance and to give the inputs to the students. It is becoming a big challenge, and everybody knows that what is the biggest challenge in the colleges is, so we need to empower the students with the communication skills, right? So how to teach them communication skills? Communication skills are something which cannot be taught, right? So they should get some experience, they should expose to that language, then only they can speak out. So how we can help them out? So there are a lot of activities which can be run, and they'll come to know how to do that activities. So that is about experiential learning activities. When we hear this word learning, so mostly we'll often think about the books or videos or whatever the videos which are available in the YouTube right now, and some other learning materials. But while these are essential, definitely, because these are going to be the standards for the students, they are not only the way for the students to learn new skills and knowledge. They need to, there is something other methodology which can be implemented for the students to give a different exposure and experience. So here comes the experiential learning, which allows the students to connect with the subject concept by experiencing it for themselves. So this type of learning, definitely it is going to involve hands-on activities. It is like experiments, or it may be some field works, or it may be like their projects, but it can also take place over long periods of time. So it can even take, we can't restrict ourselves that the student should learn within 1 year, or sorry, 1 month or 1 week. So it depends on the learning process of the student. Some students may take a few days to learn certain things, and few students may take a little bit more time. So in the education model, students they should take the lead in their personal learning journeys, and this is definitely going to help them to develop their skills. So, and when you are going to create the curiosity, and when you are going to give the collaboration and self motivation to the students, so it is from our side as a faculty, we are supposed to bring, and we are supposed to create the curiosity in the students that if you do this activity, that is the thing what you are going to learn. So overall, experiential learning is like a powerful tool which we can use right now as a teaching methodology, and like it is one of the it is becoming one of the life skill, and it is also going to help the students to make deeper connection with the knowledge what they are going to gain in the classroom. It is not just making them to sit in the class and teach so whatever there in the textbook, but let them practically applicable what they have learned in the textbook. That is the reason for the MBA students, and in the MBA curriculum we have the case studies which should be implemented, which can be implemented actively. And if you take the example of one of the example of experiential learning, sorry, I didn't start it, so I want to explain the experiential learning theory. So just I have started with the description. So that is the reason I didn't move the slides. So let me start with one example of experiential learning. So now everybody in all the MBA colleges, we have young learners who are like more interested, like we need to create the interest to become the entrepreneurship. So in this process, we can offer them the opportunity to run a shop where they can take a charge of every learning process of the business, and they can learn about the stock ordering, inventory, cost management, marketing, advertisement, and they can also decide how to spend the profit and how to earn the profit. So this is like one of the unique opportunity where the student is going to get, and they are going to empower the students with the different type of skill set, and they are going to get like a different type of experience. They need to become entrepreneurs, and like this is the process. So we can say that experiential learning is a process where the colleges or the faculty are going to create one incubation period, incubation space for the students to learn something in the safest environment. Suppose if you ask any student whether you want to become an entrepreneur or not, like on randomly if you ask in a class, so how many of you want to become an entrepreneur? Hardly you can see 1 or 2 students, right? So if you ask the remaining students why they don't want to become entrepreneurs, they literally say that they want to earn a standard income. So where they want to go for the job, right? So what is the reason why they exactly want to go for the jobs? So main risk, they are afraid of the main thing which is that they are afraid is risk. So what is that risk? They are afraid of the environment which is going to hurt them, which is going to give lot of challenges. So if they are able to face all that challenges in the college itself, definitely they'll overcome, they'll try to understand how to overcome those challenges, and definitely they will become entrepreneurs. So this can be done with the support of experiential learning. This is just an example. So in the same way, it cannot restrict only to the one subject. So we can implement this experiential learning in each and every subject. Even if you take English, communication skills. So now we have so many apps, so where the students can speak, and whatever they are speaking, they come to know that whether they have spoken the right word or not. So this much exposure the students are able to access right now. So just we need to guide them to experience and explore all that activities. So here we have one methodology, one theory, the experiential learning cycle. So this is most important thing which we need to understand before understanding the experiential learning activities. So with this we'll understand like how we can implement the learning process. So what will be the learning process of the students? So first, if we are able to understand mindset and what is the learning process of the student, so then we'll understand what type of activities we can include in our curriculum so that the student learning process will be easy. So if you see this called experiential learning cycle, in this we have 4 stages. So it was developed by David A. Call, which is like a 4-step learning process. Here we have concrete learning, reflective observation, abstract conceptualization, and active experimentation. So here effective learning is achieved. It can be achieved when a learner is going to have the progress through each stage. And we are not saying that if the student is going through the 4 stages that the student is going to learn something. It is not like that. In each and every stage, the student will have a different learning process. It depends on his capability and the different type of activities which we are going to take up in that process. So the learner may also enter the cycle of learning at any step using logical sequence, or he can end up at any cycle. So let us see the different stages and we'll try to understand what is concrete experience and reflective observation, abstract conceptualization, and active experimentation. So in the concrete experience, in this stage particularly, the learner is going to show the personal involvement with others in everyday situation. So the learner is going to tend to depend on, he is going to explore the activity and he is going to experience the activity. If you take some simulation games which are very popular right now about entrepreneurship, so there are a lot of simulation games which are available online. So if you ask the students to participate in that simulation game, what will happen is the student will come to know and they are going to take the decisions based on the situations which are given on the spot. So learners are going to tend to depend more on their opinion and their capacity and their adaptiveness, and it is completely dependent on their own knowledge when it comes to reflective observation. So on the spot, the students are going to apply their mind. The same slide I am explaining the 4 stages of call learning process, learning cycle. And in the reflective observation, the learners are going to understand the situation. So whatever the applications they made in the concrete experience, in the reflective observations, they are going to understand what type of challenges they have faced, and they will try to understand the situations and ideas from different points of view. And they are going to depend on objectivity, and they are going to have the careful judgment what type of decisions they have taken in the previous cycle, and but do not essentially take any action. Here they can't take any action. Already they have experienced and they have gone through certain activity. In the reflective observation, they will sit and they will try to understand what type of challenges they have faced and what mistakes they have made, and from that mistakes the learners are going to create an opinion on basing of their thoughts and opinions. In the abstract conceptualization, at this stage, the learners are going to use the ideas. So in the reflective stage, they have understood what are the mistakes they have done and what are the problems they have identified. And in the abstract conceptualization, the learners are going to use different types of ideas and logical approaches and theories rather than interpersonal issues. Like instead of having different opinions previously, they are going to have different different way of learning approaches. So here they will try to understand the situations and they will take a proper decisions, because it is already they have learned something from the last two stages, and in the most cases they depend on systematic planning and building ideas, and also they can create some practical, they can solve the practical issues and problems with those experiences. In the active experimentation in the fourth stage, so the learners show an active learning experience by experimenting with the different situations. Already they have gone through a certain stages, so they have participated, they have identified the challenges, they came with the solutions. Now if you give the same task to them, the learners show an active learning experience by experimenting with different situations. So whatever the mistakes they have done in the first stage, they will not do the same thing. So at the active experimentation stage, the learners take a practical approach rather than simply observing a situation or doing the same mistakes what they have done in the first stage. So this is the different cycles which the students will come across, and we can't say that if we are doing an activity you need to come across all the 4 cycles. So it depends what type of, if you take case study, so it can be in the second stage where the students will sit and understand, yes, this was the problem arised in that organization, so what type of solutions we can come up. So effective learning is going to occur when an individual is going to learn and when he is going to progress through each stage of 4 different cycles of passing through all these experiences. So then only the learning stage will be fulfilled. What exactly right now as a faculty we can do is, we can use this experiential learning cycle to teach the students with various courses which we have in our curriculum. So by teaching students about the pedagogical approach, teachers can also encourage the students to become better problem solvers. So don't go on teaching the things which are there already in the textbook. And let me give you one more example. Normally we will have stats and OR in our MBA course, right? But if you give the same subject to the professors who taught maths and stats, they will teach the techniques how to solve the problem. But if you give the same subject to the faculty who are teaching management subjects, the way of teaching will be completely different, because we are dealing with some management decisions. So when you are reading certain problems in the OR and stats, we are trying to give the solution, we are also going to give the conclusion, and we are going to give the reason for the value which was arised in the solution or problem. So students should be taught in the same way, that it is not just something we are going to teach from the textbook. It should be something where the students can be applied that in a practical way. So we can't restrict ourselves that experiential learning can be done only at certain activities, or it can be restricted only to certain subjects. It can be applied to each and every course which we have in a, it is not only in an MBA course, it can be applicable in all the courses. Students can also use the learning cycle to improve their understanding, and we need to give them the proper guidelines, and we need to give them the importance what they are going to learn if they do this activity. So if a teacher wants to teach students about the concept of anything in a textbook, so they need to take some examples, they need to take some activities where students are going to be involved and they are going to get some exposure. We need to encourage the students to move through the learning cycle, and teachers should give the students, and they also should give the opportunity to the students to learn and to practice the critical thinking and develop new perspectives. Suppose if you ask ask any abbreviation to the students, if you wait for some time, normally if you directly let me take one example, like, so what is RBI? Yes, everybody knows that, but Reserve Bank of India, if you tell the student directly what is RBI, the student will remember and immediately he may forget after some time. So this is just an example. He may not forget about RBI, but it may be some little bit complicated abbreviations. But if you give a time for the students to think what is RPA, at least even if they are trying to give a wrong answer, so they are putting their brain, they are putting some efforts to learn something. So after a certain period, and after like a next day, if you reveal that, or if you give a task to identify that word, so their learning process will be different. So it is about critical thinking, or it is about the thinking process where they are going to learn and where they are going to remember for certain period. In the same way, experiential learning is the process where we are going to give a practical exposure to the students to learn in a different way. So teachers can also use the learning cycles to teach the students about various subjects. So this is about the experiential learning cycle, where it is going to come across of 4 different cycles. And as we know that, and everybody knows that, there are so many activities which can be conducted for the students in the form of experiential learning. So simulations, role play exercises, right? So simulation is one of the best game where we can give the real situation and where the students are going to take the part. So simulations and role play exercises are going to allow the students to experience different scenarios and practice the skills in a safe environment, safe and in a controlled environment. So we have like simulation games, like where the students are going to be divided into teams and they have a different roles to be played in that simulation game, and each managing they are going to have a virtual company in a competitive market environment. They are going to make certain decisions regarding the product development, marketing, sales, research and development. So here the simulation is going to provide the real-time feedback, and it is also going to allow the students to see the impact of their decisions on the market share, profitability and overall company performance. Here they are not directly getting into the company and they are not starting the organization. Here they are getting the opportunity to start a business in a virtual way. So it is more about simulation game, and it is going to give an experience, and it is also going to help the students to understand the complexity when they start a business and what type of decisions they are supposed to take. It is not investing the amount and getting the profits. So there are so many things which are supposed to be done when they are going to start the business. They need to deal with the product development, they need to deal with the marketing department, sales, research and development. So all that complexities they will understand in a safe and in a controlled environment where they will not get affected physically or like in a monetary ways. So this can be, we can say that it is like a dynamic, and they are going to take certain strategic decisions in this process. And in the same way we have field trips. So field trips, if you take, it is going to provide students with lot of opportunities to explore the real world around them and gain first-hand experience of different cultures, environments and industries. So in this process, in the field trips, we have corporate office visits, manufacturing plant tours, financial district exposures and entrepreneurial hub explorations, sustainability or CSR visits. So these are different trips what we have. So when the MBA students are visiting the headquarters, if you take the corporate office, so how it is going to help the students? Till now we have shown the environment of classroom. So here we will teach, they will learn. But what we will teach? The corporate, they will have certain hierarchy, like there will be top level people and subordinates, superiors, everything we will teach. But if they see it proper in a physical way, so that is more about corporate office visits. So when the MBA students are visiting the headquarters of any one of the multinational corporation during that visit, so they get a chance to interact with senior executives, and they'll also have the chance to observe day-to-day operations and attend presentations on the company's strategy, culture, how they are making like marketing things. And all these are going to give the first-hand experience, which is going to provide insights into corporate management. So they'll try to understand what is the requirement of that corporate world for them. So this is also one learning experience when they go for the corporate field trips. When they are going for manufacturing plant tours, So this in this trip they'll try to understand the facilities which allow the students to absorb. So what is the production process existing there? What is the supply chain management which is being used there? And what are the different quality control measures they are using? In a book we'll see lot of things, but practically what are the things which are being applied in the organization should be known to the students. Then they'll understand the importance of that concept. Even if you teach, even if you tell 10 times to the students that this is important question, this is important questions, they'll not understand why it is so important unless if they see that in a practical way how they are being applied in the organization, they'll not understand. So that is the reason, that is one of the reason that where we can take the students to the field trips. They can interact with the engineers, they can interact with the production department to understand the challenges and what is the importance of innovation in the manufacturing process. Everything they'll understand and they'll come to know the importance, and their learning process will change. And when it comes to entrepreneurship, so when they go to any entrepreneurship hub, there they are going to interact with lot of tech startups, venture capital firms, incubators, and in the process they'll try to understand what is the fund mechanism which is happening there and what are the different sources which are available. And one more obligation where the students will have, what the students will have to become an entrepreneur is fund, capital, investment. So students are not much aware that what are the different opportunities which are available. When they interact with the entrepreneurs and investors, they are going to provide the practical insights into the challenges, and also they are going to provide the opportunities for taking up a business and going through like they can come up with a better innovative startups. So this advantage we'll get when we take up the students to the field trips. And along with that we have service learning projects. So service learning projects it is also going to allow the students to work on real world problems, and it is not just restricting themselves to earn money for their own sake, it is also going to give a positive impact on the communities. This type of activities can be done by all the colleges to empower themselves. They are trying to understand the problems which are there in and around their communities, and with that problems also they can come up with some business models. And collaborative projects which allow students to work together to achieve a common goal, which is going to help like they are going to develop the teamwork and communication skills, and this is going to give a different exposure for the students to learn how to work in a teams. And problem based learning is going to present the students the real world problems. It is more about the case studies we can say, and experiments and lab activities which can be most of the times we will see this experiment and lab activities in the engineering and other areas, science. But when it comes to MBA, we do have labs, business simulation lab, data analytics lab. If you present the students, if you show the slides and if you explain the things how to use the MS Word, MS Excel, it will be when they are listening, they'll feel that they know everything. But when it comes to the application part, they feel the difficulty how to use that application. So lab activities should be done manually. It is not something which can be explained on the board or with the help of PPTs. So lab activity is one of the experimental activity we can say, and outdoor education which is like it is all the time it is not so possible, but it is also going to involve by taking the students outside to learn about it may be about the environment, or it may be about the physical activities, or it may be about the markets which are existing outside the world. You can also use games and simulations which can be used to teach a range of subjects like skills, critical thinking and problem solving. And simulation games which we are discussing from the first slide is a common common methodology. And we also can give some entrepreneurship projects which involve students to develop and launch their own new business ideas, which is also going to help the students to develop creativity, problem solving, and they are also going to develop business skills and art based skill. Last one is art-based activities. So art-based activities, it may be like normally when it comes to the college, we'll have some cultural programs. So that is also, we can say that one of the experiential activity where students will come up with some drama, music, or some visual arts, because it is also going to help the students to develop some creativity and communication and certain problem solving skills when they want to organize such type of activities in the colleges or some other institutions. All these activities can be used to teach the students and to empower them to learn in a different environment. So overall, we can say that the main objective of the experiential learning activity is to help the students. Don't make them sit in the class and teach them with the textbook. You try to identify the activities in each and every subject. We can identify certain activities and we can implement with those activities to explore, to get the exposure to the students and to explore that real situation. So it is going to help the students to develop their skills, and it is also going to add their knowledge through hands-on experience. This approach is definitely going to allow the students to take an active role in their own learning, which can also increase their engagement and motivation. Experiential learning activities can also help the students to develop critical thinking, problem solving, and also communication skills, which are very essential for success of the student as well as for the institution. So we need to understand the importance of this experiential learning activities, and we can implement in the colleges in any subject. So if we implement all these activities, what type of benefits we are going to get? So what type of benefits we are going to get? It is not we are going to get, what type of benefits the students are going to get. When you are providing an experiential learning experiential learning process, it is going to provide a different type of exposure, and it is also going to create the curiosity where the students are going to make the mistakes and they are going to learn from those mistakes in the low risk environment. And this type of environment, for sure, they are not going to get in the outside world. So as a teachers, as a faculty, it is our responsibility to provide such an environment. As a teachers and faculty, it is our responsibility to provide such type of comfortable environment for the students to learn and exposed to the real world situations, because it is going to help the students to develop leadership skills, and it is also going to motivate the students to learn in a different environment. And what are the different benefits they will get means they are going to have enhanced retention and understanding power. Here their learning process will be little bit deep. They are going to engage in hands-on activities, which is going to help the students internalize and they will try to understand the concept. So if you say, let me tell you with one example that if you ask your kid to not to touch some fire, what they will do? They don't know what is going to happen. They go and touch. But once if they get experience, they'll stop touching that fire. Right? The same thing will happen with the students. When you give an hands-on activities to the students, that is going to help the students to internalize and then try to understand the concept in a more profoundly than in a traditional lecture-based learning. And when it comes to memory retention, the experiences are more memorable. And many of us know how to ride a bicycle, right? So are we going to forget that? No, because that we got from some experience. But the same thing if I explain how to ride a bicycle, and otherwise if I go through some video how to drive a bike or bicycle, so it is tough to drive, or it is very tough to ride a bicycle, right? But when you get the experience, that you are not going to forget for the lifetime. So experiences are more memorable than abstract information, and it is also going to lead to better retention of the knowledge. And moreover, it is also going to develop the practical skills of the students. When the students are applying this theory, students will learn to apply when they learn to apply the theoretical concepts in the real world scenarios, it is going to bridge the gap between the classroom learning and practical application. And they are also going to have skill acquisition. Whatever the activities, it may be like simulation, role play, field trips. With that, it is going to develop critical skills like problem solving, decision making, and critical thinking. So they are going to acquire certain set of skills in a different way of learning process, and it is also going to improve the critical thinking and problem solving because they are going to expose the real world problems, and it is also going to give the motivation for the students to actively participate in the activities. When you are teaching in the class, it will be one-way communication, but when you engage them in the activities, it will be like two-way learning process. The teachers will learn, along with that the students will learn. So active participation will be there. Experiential learning involves students directly in the learning process, which makes it more engaging and enjoyable. And it is also having a lot of motivation for the students, because there we are going to deal with real world relevance of activities, which increases student intrinsic motivation to learn and to succeed in the future. It is also going to work on the soft skills, it is also going to work on the creativity, and it is going to give a lot of benefits on the collaborations. So when they are trying to learn, they will share with their friends, and they will have a different, if you see the cycle, in the second cycle, they are going to discuss what has happened in the first stage, what are the different difficulties they have faced. They will discuss with their friends, their view will be different. So each and every person, when they are coming up with different views, that is going to give a collaborative thinking process where they can share their views and they can exchange their views. And it is also about leadership when they are dealing with the simulation game, or when they are dealing with some club activities. If they are going to organize, or if they are going to lead the complete simulation game, there they are going to develop leadership skills, how to take the proper decisions. Even though they are getting a lot of inputs from the teammates, what decision they are going to take is very important. So that is more about the leadership, and communication is going to be developed. Even the student who are not going to talk, if you give us certain activities, they will start talking. So that is more about the communication. Let them talk in the local language, then they will start developing the skills, and after seeing everyone, they will start talking in English also. It is also about the presentation skills. So the way they are presenting, the way they are coming up with the challenges, whatever they have faced, they are ready to share because they have experienced it. So all these benefits the students are able to get. So this is the reason why we are why there is lot of importance we have on the experiential learning for the students. And what are the components? If you want to conduct any activity in your institution or in your college, so what are the important necessary components which we need to involve in experiential learning program is, you need to engage the teams. Suppose if you are like MSc, MTech, BTech, so you need to engage the teams that disguise connections to the real life workplace. So here I am a BA faculty, my students are going to be the managers or entrepreneurs. So I am going to bring up such type of real life situations to my class, where I am going to explain the same thing to the students, or where I am going to conduct such type of activities in the class. And it is not just asking them to do the activity, you need to add some fun factor to promote the promotion. So either the ways we need to use, either we need to threaten them, or we need to add some fun to the activity. What will create what is going to motivate the students to participate in any activity is, first thing will be fun factor. So let us try to add one of the component as fun factor to promote the participation of the students in the experiential learning activities. And it is not just conducting a lot of activities in the organization or in the institution. You need to understand why we are conducting this activity. What is the cause if we do this? What is the effect? What is the outcome of this activity? What is the learning process of the student should be very clear. It is not just conducting the activity, and the outcome is also very important. The cause and effect chain should be very clear when we are doing one activity in the institution. And promoting the initiation first we need to take the step to initiate for the change, then that should be implemented towards the students' participation. It is not about the students' participation, it is more about the faculty involvement for conducting the activities in the classrooms to make them actively involved. And it is not just actively involved, it is something where they are going to learn in the process with the proper outcomes. And these are the main components which we are supposed to involve when we are designing experiential learning programs. Then how to design any experiential learning activities? Here we have certain steps which can be included. So I didn't come up with certain activities because everybody knows that if you Google, you will come to know that what are the different type of activities which we can do under experiential learning. But how to do it productively, I want to explain. How to design any experiential learning activity, that I want to explain. So for this reason I came up with certain steps. First we need to identify the learning goals, setting up the experience, designing the activity, assess learning outcomes and analyze the effectiveness, reflect and refine and continuous improvement. Everything I will explain in detail in the next coming slides. So these are the different phases, these are the different stages of designing one experiential learning activity. It is not just one activity we are conducting in the class. It should be productive, that students are going to learn something out of that. So first we need to identify the learning goals. So let me go through the slides. So identifying the goals, you need to define the objectives clearly. Define the objectives clearly, and objectives clearly means we need to articulate the specific knowledge, skills. Suppose it is ED subject. What type of knowledge they are going to gain, what type of skills that they are going to gain, and what are the abilities students should gain, we need to clearly articulate in the form of objective. And align to the standards, ensure that all your learning goals are tied to relevant educational standards or frameworks. It is not just for the formalities sake we are doing certain activities, it should align with the relevant educational standards and it should have a certain framework. What is the outcome? And try to focus on the outcome. First, when you are coming up with the goal, you be ready with the outcome also. Prioritize the most essential outcome that will drive the student's success. So as I said, as I am trying to say from the last few slides, the outcome is also very important when we are coming up with the goal, and we should also come up with the outcome, what is the student learning process. And then set up the experience, how to conduct the activity. You gather the resources, establish an environment, and you need to consider the logistics. Suppose if you want to conduct the activity outside your campus, you gather the resources accordingly. You establish the environment. Everything should be in a planned environment. And gathering the resources is more about identifying the necessary materials which are required. If you are not providing, you ask your students to bring up. And you try to identify the technology required. If you want PPT or if you want any other type of technology required for your experiential learning activity, if it is simulation game, you want systems, computers, laptops. So you try to identify, you try to gather the resources, and then you can implement the experiential learning activity in your institutions. And you also should identify the learning aids. Then establish the environment. Thoughtfully we need to design the physical and virtual learning spaces. So it should be very proper way. We need to start the experiential learning activity in a proper environment without any disturbances. So for that we need to thoughtfully design in advance the virtual, even if you are dealing with some virtual things. Virtual things, when it comes to virtual things, it is more about business simulation. Even if you take most of the times we are talking about, like, everybody are interested in trading, right? But on this spot, like, at a time we can't go and get into the trading. So for that also we have lot of applications and lot of websites which are providing virtual trading process, where the students can explore what type of investments they can make, what type of portfolios they can create. So this is also one of the virtual learning spaces which was already created by some websites that can be identified by the faculty, and that can be provided to the students. all these work should be done by the faculty in advance when they want to conduct certain activities. And also we need to consider the logistics, anticipate and identify the potential timing, what times you are supposed to conduct the activity and how much time you want to conduct. Is it like 1 week, or it can be some, if you are giving certain projects to the students, so immediately we can't expect everything can be done in 1 week or 10 days. So give them, and it should be properly scheduled, and you need to have certain access concerns. Like what, you can have some reviews, what will be the, you need to identify the progress of the student in the process. So that should be, yes sir.
Yes, madam.
So everything should be properly scheduled, and in a time slots you need to go through with a proper format. Next one is designing. Identify the resources which are required and you have decided the time. Then you need to design the activity, and you need to identify, like you need to understand what type of instructional approach you are going to give to the students. Determine the most effective teaching methods and learning modality. See here, you need to understand what type of approach you are going to take up to give the input to the students, and also provides scaffolding and offer targeted support and guidance to help the students to progress in their process. It is not just giving the activity to the students and asking them to do the activity and you can't come out of the class. You try to guide them, you try to support the students how to do the activity and engage the students, incorporate, try to tell the opportunities and try to give the outcomes what they are going to learn if they do this activity, and incorporate the opportunities for interaction, collaboration and hands-on experience. So in such a way we can design the activity. Next one, we need to assess the learning outcomes. This is the like we can say last step, but assessing learning outcomes, after that we are going to identify what is the learning outcome of the student. So yes, we have conducted the activity in the classroom. They have learned what I have learned. It should be measured, right? So in this process, we can do some assessments. It can be formative assessment, summative assessment, reflection or adjustments. So when it comes to formative assessment, it is more about gathering ongoing feedback to monitor the student understanding and progress. So what did they learn? So is there any learning happened in this activity? That should be identified. Yes, the activity was done. Yes, for the day I was done with experiential. No, when you can't assess, it is incomplete. So format, it can be any type of assessment, but the assessment should happen for the student learning process. When it comes to summative assessment, we need to evaluate the extent, how much extent the student have achieved the desired learning outcomes. Is it 80% or is it 20% or 30%? And reflection, here we are going to see how the students are engaged in self-assessment and how they are encouraged them to reflect on their learning process. And we need to adjust, use assessment data to inform whatever the information you have gathered in the process of assessment, that should be informed to the students that you have learned this. If it is good or bad, let them know that how much extent they have learned. And you need to refine the learning process. You can redefine your learning activities in the same process. And analyze the effectiveness. When you have assessed the student's process, you need to evaluate the impact. How can you evaluate? So measure the extent to which the learning experience have achieved its intended goal, and you need to, by gathering the feedback. So it can be from colleagues, stakeholders, it can be from parents, teachers, everybody. You need to seek input, what is their learning process, and then you need to identify the strengths. Recognizing the elements of experience, what they have learned is very much important, because so whether we want to continue with the activity or whether we want to go with a new activity, we can understand only when there is a learning process in the student assessment. Reflect and refine. So we need to identify different opportunities, pinpoint the areas. When you have gone through certain assessments, when you have identified the problems in the learning process of the students, we need to identify the opportunities where there is a scope for the improvement for the students to come up with different ideas to give a different learning experience. We need to document the lesson, capture insights and the best practices, to inform, like it is not stopping at my place. I am going to share my knowledge to future people who want to take up the activities. If the activity is giving a good learning experience, let me share that with my colleagues. So when we are documenting it properly, we can capture the insights and the best practices in a proper way, and that can be informed to the future people. They can carry forward and iterate and improve. So if there is any scope, we can revise the learning experience based on the evaluation and feedback what we got from the stakeholders. So this is about reflect and refining the experiential learning activities. Continuous improvement is everywhere. It is not even in the educational institutions, the continuous improvement is very much required, because students' learning process is never ending. We can't confine or we can't restrict ourselves to the 5-unit syllabus which was given by the university. We need to define our own goals, what will be the learning process of the students. So here we need to identify the goals and define the desired learning outcomes. When you are identifying the goals, there itself you define the learning outcomes, design the experiences, create the activities, create engaging and effective learning activities in a proper way, and assess the results, try to evaluate the impact and effectiveness of the learning experience, and then reflect. So we need to revise, accept it. If it is not good activity, let us revise by taking the feedback from the students. Students are not actively participating. Let us revise the activity. So what makes them curious and what makes them actively participate, let us revise accordingly. But ultimately it should be based on the learning outcome. It is not something fun for the students. It should be learning outcome. Then only we can give there is a scope for the continuous improvement process. And in the process, you can also integrate technology. We have virtual reality, augmented reality, online simulation, mobile applications, and that's what I am trying to say. We can't confine experiential learning activity to certain subjects or certain topics or certain activities. In each and every subject, including communication, we can use this experiential learning activity where the students are going to get the experience and they are going to learn in a different environment. We have a lot of applications where they can learn the communication skills also. We have virtual reality, because immersive virtual reality experiences are going to transport learners to stimulate the environment, and they are going to get a lot of hands-on exploration and problem solving. When it comes to augmented reality, they are going to give overlays digital information on the physical world, allowing the learners to interact with the manipulate virtual elements. And online simulation games, which are rightly available in free of cost in the websites, we can go through, we can interactively give the digital simulation games to the students, and we can provide learners with the opportunity to experiment and test the hypothesis, test their knowledge, like whether they are improving or not, and we can measure the learning outcome. We also have mobile applications. It may be educational applications which are offering and engaging on the go experiences that can complete and enhance the experiential learning activity in the process. We have a lot of resources and support in the institutions like professional development. We have workshops, training programs and online courses which can help the educators. So first, the educator should be empowered how to conduct the activities and develop the skills to design and implement effective experiential learning activities to the students. Then funding opportunities, we have a lot of, like it may not be a lot of, but the government and higher education regulatory authorities are supporting us from like giving grants and other funding sources to support the integration. Like we have one spices scheme where AICT has provided for all the institutions in the form of grant for conducting certain activities. It is more about experiential learning activities. So the government is also ready to give the fund for developing and empowering. But how much extent we are utilizing it and trying to identify the funding opportunities, and it is not just identifying the opportunities, and how we are utilizing the opportunities is also important. And we can't say that the activities should be confined to our institution and with our resources. It can be with the collaborative networks. Connecting with a community of practitioners can also provide valuable insights. It can also provide valuable insights, resources, and it can also support knowledge and support for implementing all these experiential learning activities. There are so many third parties which are collaborating with the institutions to provide support for the educational institutions to provide knowledge for the students. And educational technology is one of the tools which we have right now. We can leverage the right educational technologies which can enhance and facilitate engaging experiential learning experiences for the students. So this is how we need to implement the experiential activities. It is not just restricting ourselves that we should only teach to the students. We are facilitators where we need to provide the facility for the students to learn in a safe environment where they are exposed to the real life, real world problems and challenges. So this is about designing the experiential learning activities. If you have any queries, let me know.
Thank you, madam. Thanks for such a wonderful session. And thank you, madam, for enlightening the session. And we will now open for the floor with questions from the audience. Please raise your hand or type your questions in the chat box. I'll call on priority for the participants. The feedback link for the session is shared already. And any questions questions from the participants, you can just chat in chat box or you raise your hand so that we can open up. Any questions from the participants? Participant side, any questions out there? I hope there is no more questions to ask. Yeah. I would like to summarize the key points of the session. Ma'am explained about experiential learning methods and designing the activities, how we can design the activities of the experiential learning methods. And Madam covered all kind of the content which is needed for designing the activities of experiential learning activities. Some of the content which I want to repeat it and what Madam covered actually. Experiential learning methods, assess the learning outcomes, summative and formative assessments and reflection adjustments, analysis of effectiveness, evaluate impact, growth feedback, and gather feedback and identify the strength and reflect and refine, identify the opportunities and all kind of the things which is linked to the continuous improvement the factors that is related to the design, assess the results and reflect and refine in order to get the outcome. And the integrated technologies, virtual technologies, how we can use it for the experiential learning activities. And the key resource and support also Madam revealed. And it's really amazing session that all participants gained wonderful points from the ma'am actually. Ma'am having much experience on the exponential learning activities and on the research components. Madam has has so many papers on that, and really the session is wonderful. And thanks for the participants for kind cooperation. And I take this opportunity to thank today's resource person, ma'am, Mrs.E.Prashanthi Madam, for enlightening the participants on the topic designing exponential learning activities. I thank all participants who attended the session with a lot of interest. Now, I would like to give you the concluding remarks of this session. First, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the management who has given opportunity to me to conduct this 1 week FDP program on enhancing pedagogy through experiential learning from June 10th to 15th June and up to today. And I sincere thank to Mr. Vijay Bhaskar Reddy Garu, who has given opportunity for me to conduct this all kind of sessions with all his support. I have done this all task, and I want to express my sincere thanks to Dr. M. Balakoteshwari Madam, Dean Sanskrit Group of Institutions and Principal Sanskrit School of Business. Thank you, Madam, for your kind support. I would like to thanks Mrs.E.Prashanthi Madam, Head of the Department and Director of Admissions, Sanskrit School of Business. Her sincere thank you. I am sincerely thanking Madam for her support for conducting this program. And I thank my all faculty who stood beside me for conducting this program, all faculty members and non-teaching staff who supported for this one, and system admin Altaf sir and all people who supported for this conducting things, and system admin Raja sir also. And this all the faculty members, and I would like to pay attention, sincere thanks to the key resource persons of this FDP, the Dr. Anupama K. Malgi Madam, the day one, 10th June, Madam took the session on exponential learning to cater to the needs of the new age learners. Thank you, Dr. Anupama Madam, for coming as a resource person and delivering such a wonderful session. And I would like to thank Dr. D. Shahnaz Madam, Assistant Professor, Apollo University, Chittoor, for the topic of challenges in exponential learning, bridging gap between faculty and students. The session held on 11th June. I would like to thank Professor Dr. Mastan sir. Sir has international experience on the domain of exponential learning. Sir has conducted a session and provided opportunity to us to for the topic of exponential learning in management education global experience on 12th July, sorry, 12th June. And I would like to thanks our internal faculty, Madam, Dean Madam, coming forward and took a session, Sustainable Education through Exponential Learning, and on 14th, on 13th June, Madam took a session. And I would like to thank Dr. Rahul Vishna sir, who took a session on 14th June, co-creation work as an exponential learning method, co-creation work as an exponential learning method. Associate professor from SAR is a program director from MIT World Peace University, Pune. I would like to thank, but not least, Mrs.E.Prashanthi Madam, Associate Professor, Head of the Department and Director of Admissions, and came forward to session on her esteemed area, designing and exponential learning activities, 15th June today. And these are the closing remarks which I want to give it my sincere thanks to all supporters and especially for the participants from the reputed institutions across India and one participant from South Africa. And these all participants given their full support and patience throughout the session. I thanking each and every participant who came forward and joined this FDP and travel with us 1 week. Thank you so much, sir, madam. Very sincere thanks from my side. And I would like to tell that the feedback form already shared to the participants, and also assessment test link is also provided for the last FDP 6 sessions. Assessment test link is also generated and forwarded to the participants. So kindly fill today feedback as well as kindly complete the assessment exam so that we'll come to know the feedback from the participants and how they understood the topics on different intervals of the FDP. And if any, if all participants can turn on the cameras so that we can take a photo. so that all participants can turn on the photo because it will be great if you come up with video, audio. Sir, madam, if you can come up, turn on your video so that it will be visible. Last day session. Thank you, madam. Dr. Ritu Singh, madam. IIM from Lucknow, madam. Thank you so much, Professor. CN Medi, madam. Thank you. Please come forward. All participants, please turn on your video. Today is the last session. Please do cooperate with us. Please, all participants, I am requesting turn on your video so that it will be visible. And okay, all okay. Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you, Satyanarayana. Thank you. Remaining all participants, can you please turn on? Please. Madam, sir, anyone want to give a feedback on the session today, this 1 week FDP? If you want to give a feedback, please provide a feedback to us so that it will motivate us to conduct further programs. Sir, madam, if you provide a feedback regarding this 1 week FDP session, how you are feeling after going through this all sessions, please provide feedback. Thank you. Any faculty, if you provide a feedback, please. These FDP sessions. Madam, sir, Professor Ritu Singh, madam, any feedback? Bhuvneshwari, madam, Dr. K. Jagannayaki, madam, and Dr. M. Kulashekar, sir, Meenu Subramanya, madam, Gurraj, sir, Mamata, madam, any feedback from the session? This all FDP, please provide. You can turn on and speak.
Hello.
Yes, madam, audible, madam. Please, madam.
Hello.
Yes, madam. Please go ahead, madam.
Hello, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, madam. Your voice is very clear, madam.
Yes, sir. This is Dr. Jagannayaki, sir. I am from Institute of Aeronautical Engineering, Hyderabad. So I have attended
Yes.
because 1 or 2 sessions I have missed because of my schedule. But really informative, sir. Excellent sessions. So try to conduct more number of sessions like this, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thanks for your kind feedback. Thank you.
Can I say something, sir?
Yes, madam. Professor, madam. Yes, madam.
This was a good session, and with the help of summer vacations going on here, I was able to attend all the sessions, and I would find it really nice if we could get a chance to interact each other in front of each other face to face in some kind of offline or on location FDP or conferences. So I would request in future, if you are conducting any conference, please let us know.
Yes, madam. Sure, sure.
Thank you for this wonderful opportunity. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, madam. Definitely, we'll consider your points, madam. Any one of you, any one of them, want to provide a feedback? Okay. Hence, there is no one. So, thank you, madam, Professor, madam. Thank you so much. We'll close the session.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Prashanthi madam.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much for your kind cooperation. Thank you. Thank you all. Thanks.